You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
And 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 53 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome into a Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 if you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning. The X accounts at Locker Room 109 at Barry Sanderson at Wimp Sanderson 1. Email for the show, Wimp and Barry at yahoo.com. Feel free to send us an email. Download the app, the Tide 100.9 app. You can send us an app message. I got to get to where I can respond to the message. Somebody messaged yesterday about the deal I was talking about in Las Vegas. They want to know, was that football or basketball? They caught it's obviously basketball. The format there is changing a lot. The winning team now can get $1.5 million, but they're going to pay out a total of $9 million to the 8 teams that will be in Las Vegas during Thanksgiving holidays playing out there. So that would hopefully answer any confusion there about that. We want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. Always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. You're going to build the 5-star backyard, the fence, the deck, the pergola. There's only one choice. That would be Yellowwood. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. A little bit different today. JC will join us at 7:30. Around 8:15, we'll do the Blue Plate special today. Chase, we'll give Dad a little bit more time to study during the breaks, but he's going to have to jump off at 8:30 to take care of some business. So around 8:15, normally we do the Blue Plate towards the end of the show on Thursday, but it'll just give you more time to get your bets in, Chase. So 4-4, looking to go over 500 with the Blue Plate special, brought to you by Chuck Norwood and the Norwood Remax really down in Orange Beach Gulf Shores. We'll talk more about Chuck and those guys in the second hour. Good morning, Chase. Good morning, Dad. How are you guys this morning?
Doing okay. Last night, Liberty, undefeated, played a team that had not won a game. That's the way this gambling is. And Kennesaw State won the game 27-24. Most of you know Liberty is where Hugh Freeze is coach. They had won 17 in a row, and they'd gone and playing a team that had not won a game. And so Liberty gets beat. Kennesaw is the victor. On the home front, Jacksonville State won 42-20 over Middle Tennessee University. A good win for Jack State. Guy there does a good job of coaching. He's been in a lot of different places. Georgia Southern and Old Dominion, I believe, tonight, as well as Syracuse and Pittsburgh, if you're interested in that. Because of the two injuries that I'm fixing to mention, on the Missouri side of the field for Alabama's moved up to a 16.5-point favorite. Could be more than that. Last time I looked at 16.5. We'll talk about the Blue Plate a little bit later, but they have the quarterback for Missouri is questionable. That doesn't mean he's not going to play. Nate Noel, the running back, is out for the game. He's their leading rusher. So they're down. Of course, Alabama has some kids hurt as well. Keon is hurt, but Nate Noel being out it hurts their running game. And Brady Cook is, I think, a decent quarterback. May not be the best in the league, but he's darn good. So those are things that happen. Not a whole lot. I don't guess. I will say that Auburn, Hugh Freeze has come out and said enough is enough, and that if not exactly these words, if you want to transfer. If you're transferring, transfer is going to make you happier or whatever, then 88 now at the gate. indicated that. I don't know that he said it the way I said he said it.
Well, he just said he was going back to his coaching tough, and if they don't want to be coached tough, then they can leave. And he thinks most guys do want to be disciplined and coach tough, and he was, I guess, maybe trying to say he hadn't been doing that, but he's going back to his old ways, he says.
Outside of that, I don't have anything. I've been busy, so I looked, I didn't see anything that's just really turned you on. If you have thoughts about last night when Kaylin had his radio show and only the one caller called, whatever they did, so forth, so on, you're welcome to do so. I didn't see it, hear it. I don't know anything about it, and that's all I got.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you all that. Normally they take calls. Pee Wee's always the first call, and then they take calls, not a ton of calls, but throughout the show. And then they obviously open the microphone up at Baumhauer's and let people ask questions there of Coach. No questions last night. Pee Wee was the only phone caller, which Pee Wee's going to call in and ask about the offensive line. So he's going to throw him a softball question. Coach has in his contract, I guess he has to do a show like that once a week in order to get his money for that. Ryan Williams was there. I don't want to beat this to death, but they're having a Yeti Cup at the homecoming game with Ryan Williams' image on it. So I'm assuming he'll get. This is assuming now, so somebody call me if I'm wrong, but if his picture's on the Yeti Cup, I would have guessed he would get a certain percentage of every cup that's sold in there. I would guess, so maybe they're trying to find ways to generate money to give to Ryan Williams. Maybe not. Maybe it's just his picture on the cup and you can buy it. But once again, a freshman there is just being pushed out in the front. Just your thoughts that about, I mean, I get it. These guys are $10 million. I think Kalen DeBoer can handle tough questions. If a fan wants to call in and question why you threw the ball to Ryan Williams 20 times, or why your running game's not this, or why you went for it on fourth down instead of punting there at the end, I think he can handle himself. To only let one phone call come in and not let the people that probably stood in line for a long time get in there and not let them ask a question, to me, is kind of elementary. Your thoughts?
I didn't know if it was him or
I don't know whose decision it was, but the fact is that's what happened, and that's not what normally happens.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were just disgusted, didn't have anything to ask, or what the situation. Yeah, the thing that you have to do now is that, and it's very hard to do at times with people, is to keep your players playing. And you don't keep your players playing if they feel like they're being slighted. And that's a little bit of a edge there for Alabama with Ryan. Maybe the rest of them are being slighted a little bit. And my uncle calls me up and says, how come y'all not playing better? And I tell my uncle, I said, well, that's all I think about, so-and-so and so-and-so. I think when you are in a situation where you look like you try to encourage your team. We got a shot for it. We got I know you're looking at it. We got a shot to Final 12. We got to take them one at a time. We got a Missouri team. We got to be ready to play regardless. And then you go on down through there, hoping that they'll be ready, hoping that they'll be able to get into the Final 12. A lot of things will happen between now and then, and sometimes you think you can, sometimes you think you can't. But keeping kids playing when they are feeling like that they are out of something that they wanted to do is not easy for the coaches. And that's the reason my theory is that you get your 10 best players in there and you visit with them and you try to get them to be your leaders as much as you can, and you get your coaches in there and you and you coach your team hard, not to the point of injury, not to the point of knocking them over, but to the point of getting their attention a little bit more. So maybe they've gotten them. Maybe I'm dead wrong. To have them as ready to play as you possibly can. There was a difference. There was a difference, regardless whether you like it or don't like it. The way that Georgia walked into the Texas game versus the way Alabama walked into the Tennessee game.
Yeah, and I don't know as far as last night goes. I want to be fair. I don't know whose decision that was. I can tell you this. I know they would have had more phone calls than one, and I know there would be people at Baumhauer's that would have wanted to ask a coach a question. Now, I don't know if that was coach saying, guys, I ain't going to take these stupid questions. So Chris asked all the questions. You know, Chris ain't going to ask. I mean, he shouldn't. So I don't know whose decision that was, but I do think Kalen DeBoer at $10 million a year can handle whatever a fan's going through. I mean, he knows the inside and why they're doing what. Maybe he could clear it up for people that don't understand. I know Jamarcus Shepard had a press conference yesterday, and he addressed why they threw the ball to Ryan Williams 20 times. He says that's what it was designed to do. And he wasn't backing down. He was defending the players, which is what he should do. So I have no problem with that. But I don't know. I just thought they
the play should be designed to throw the football to the guy that's open.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what he was saying. Hey, he was the guy that had the advantage, and that's why we threw it there. I don't know. 2-minute truck. They're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go. Pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. Where it's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. Moving is stressful. These guys will take the stress away. 205-247-5050. That's 2 men in a truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. ADPH District Medical Officer Dr. Wes Stemmerfield is recommending Alabama consumers continue to monitor for nationwide recalls in the wake of multiple outbreaks of food-related diseases. Nationwide, 10 have died. 59 people have been hospitalized from listeria contamination from boar's head meats alone. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Found some trouble on McFarland. Actually, this is on Watermelon on those southbound lanes to McFarland Boulevard. You do have an accident. Now, this is going to knock out the left turn lane, and it's got traffic pretty heavy, not only on Watermelon, but of course, McFarland is slow as well. Otherwise,
398-9845. 800-398-9845. That's 800-398-9845.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Lots of sunshine today. Another unseasonably warm afternoon. The high 84. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 57. Very warm weather continues tomorrow and Saturday. Lots of sunshine both days. Highs between 83 and 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 53 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Want to jump into any of the shows? Call Tide 100.9 right now at 205-342-9904.
Will somebody answer that damn phone?
That's 205-342-9904.
Welcome back to the Inside the Locker. I want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern for making this 7 o'clock hour. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, to the Yellowwood hotline, get Pat in. Good morning, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, good morning, guys. I don't blame Coach for not answering any questions. Whoever decided that was a smart person. Because any questions that could be posed out there would be rhetorical. Would be just, would not accomplish anything. But I have a question for you guys, being y'all are
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Then why do you take questions after you win games then?
Hey, look, when I finish with the question that I got for you guys, you'll see what I'm talking about.
All right.
The only question that I would have wanted answered, and being you two guys are uninterested third-party observers, that why did you pass the ball 1st and 5? In the red zone, 1st and goal? Hey, why do you pass the ball when you supposedly have the number one offensive center in the world that you gave up James Brockermeyer, who was the number one center coming out of high school in the state of Texas, and stayed at Alabama, did his time, and was, I just think James Brockermeyer may have been done worse than any player that's ever come to the university out of the state of Texas. But why do you not run the ball when you supposedly have got a 5-star running back in the backfield? The number one center in the country off of Lou Gosa Award, whatever, not Lou Gosa, he was a kicker. But you got the number one white offensive line and number one center, blah, 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 according to you. Why do you pass the ball? It has hurt my feelings.
I mean, I'm assuming they lined up and that's what the defense gave them. And I don't think they told the quarterback to throw it short. He threw it short and the guy picked it off. You know not to throw. You got to throw that thing to the corner back to, okay, then why should somebody not have been able to ask him that last night and he could have cleared it up?
It wouldn't have done any good.
He may have told you why. He may have given you a reason. You're asking Dad now. We don't know why they. I guess they thought that was the best play.
Hey, I'm just messing with you. I love Coach Sanderson to death. But like I said, you guys are looking at it definitely as and I'm looking at it as being a Monday morning quarterback. The results. Couldn't have been any worse running the ball 4 times. The result could not have been
what
any
you
worse.
do, Pat. The defense dictates what you do. I would imagine, even if you were coaching the defense, that you would double team Ryan to keep him from getting the ball because he's done so well. Yet they throw to him 58 times.
Pat, you're right. Hindsight should, but the quarterback can't make that bad of a throw.
Oh, yeah. Well, y'all got to understand the quarterback that they're using is not a short yardage passer. Jalen is perhaps the best long ball. He's the best long ball thrower in the country. There's no doubt about that. Results. Every time that he's pretty much attempted a long ball pass over the last several years, has been good results. But he's not a short yardage passer. And in that situation, perhaps when you're in the red zone, perhaps Ty Simpson should be the quarterback. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is what I saw cost us to lose that ball game, almost that particular play. That was, if you wrote it down to one play, that was it.
There you go. Thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Have a blessed day.
Yeah. Pat doesn't think they should have asked questions. I think they should have let them. All right, get to the Yellowwood Hotline. What's up, Cowboy? Cowboy, you there? Is he turned down? Cowboy,
he's ridden off.
Cowboy rode off. Maybe he's going to talk to Jerry Jones about the Dallas Cowboys. All right, back to
Digger.
Back to Yellowwood Hotline. What's up, Philip?
Hey, Barry. Hey, Wimp. I think I've been thinking about Wimp a lot the last few days, and I think what's going on right now is sort of a mash down process. And I know Coach Shepard did some talking yesterday, but he's one of the longtime contacts with Coach DeBoer, so that's not too surprising. But I think there's a mash down process going on right now this week. The media has got knives out for Coach DeBoer right now. It gives them it gives them something to write about.
But do they? Do they?
I think they do.
The local media or the national media?
Local.
All right. Now, well, then why wouldn't they have asked some tough questions at the press conference? Like, hey, what Pat just asked, throwing the ball to Ryan Williams. They didn't ask any of those tough questions.
Barry, it's more fun. It gets more energy from them to talk about his work, to spur stuff about his wardrobe and other things. They can get their knives out and bloody him up real good with other topics that don't really have to do with the X's and O's, and they're enjoying that. The first thing that happened last night after that show was the media started talking about the fact that there were no call-ins, and he only took one call.
But that's
they've got their knives out from them.
But that's different, and why? I guess is the question.
Well, why did they do it? I think that was part of the Dabo Swinney thing from last year. Whoever was in charge of that show last night was hell-bent on avoiding a call-in like that last night.
Negative calls, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reason. That's fine. They don't have to explain it to me. I just thought it was kind of odd. I think, Coach DeBoer can handle whatever anybody asks him. I mean, he knows his program. Yeah. So
I think he can. He's a humble man. I don't think he's searching for a battle on the radio. I don't think he wants to get into that. He wants to talk about football. But it's hard to do that when you're the University of Alabama head coach. And we're seeing it this year. I mean, we're seeing what we've seen in the past. People get all bogged down on things like his wardrobe. Look at everybody else's wardrobe when they're coaching. Look at Hugh Freeze.
Is that the media or just people on X starting all that?
The media feeds off that. They're definitely eating that grain out of the trough.
Yeah.
That food that the people are eating out of the trough, the media sees that. And then they're going for it because it makes an easy, bloody, messy story.
Yeah.
And the past thing with Haynes, to me, just watching the game from a fan standpoint, sitting on a chair in somebody's house, to me it was an unexpected play. And I just don't know if Williams was expecting that play like that. He should have been, but it just looked like a poorly executed design or whatever, because to me, he ran past everything and was sort of too far away from any of the Tennessee players to make much of an impact on the play. You
talking about the interception?
No, I'm talking about the pass to Haynes on 4th and 22 that he caught for 13 yards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know. I hope the board can. I think a mash down process is sort of in motion. I could be wrong.
I just ask, and I'll ask Dad, can you go where you're, I don't want to say soft because I have no idea, where you're kind of a player's coach and then all of a sudden flip the switch and go to a Nick Saban type of personality where you're going to smash them. Can you do that?
I think you flip it. I think you flip it with your players with the 10 kids you bring in there for your meeting.
Yeah.
I think you flip it with those 10. Those 10 kids can do more than you can do.
Yeah.
I think.
They need to be the bad guys in practice. When guys not doing what he's supposed to do, somebody needs to grab somebody up and say, you're messing with my career now. And so I don't know who those guys are. It sounds like Booker could possibly be one. I don't know who else they are. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
No, not really. But that's just what I mean. I think there is a mash down process. A mash down can come from the coach, and I think he can assign mashers. Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen guys that have different personalities, and some guys those guys will get after you in practice if you're not doing it the right way and doing what you're supposed to do. Now, have they been doing it all along? I don't know, but those guys can be very effective in that if that's their personality. A Reuben Foster type guy. It's kind of half crazy. You're kind of half scared of that guy. When he tells you to do it, you just do it because you're afraid he might knock you out. So.
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, that show last night, that was all to avoid the Dabo Swinney situation. That's all that was. I don't blame him.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get to break here and get JC in. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM. WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Found some trouble on McFarland. Actually, this is on Watermelon on those southbound lanes to McFarland Boulevard. You do have an accident. Now, this is going to knock out the left turn lane, and it's got traffic pretty heavy, not only on Watermelon, but of course, McFarland is slow as well.
Lowe's Pros. Valid in-store only. More terms and restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms or Pro Desk for details.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Yellowwood pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Real quick, Brandon Miller. Last night only played 10 minutes. Went out with a hip injury last night. Didn't see anything there, but he only played 10 minutes. And then I thought it was interesting before we get to JC. Zach Edey fouled out one time in college last night in his first NBA game. 6 fouls in 15 minutes. He fouled out in 15 minutes. All right, to the Yellowwood Hotline. He's the owner of the BigSpur.com. Joins us every Thursday, several podcasts to talk about the end. JC Sherbert. Good morning, JC. How are you, my man?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Morning, JC. How you doing?
Go ahead, Dad.
I made the statement, and you correct me, because I'm a mental guy, as you know, rather than physical so much. Mental to physical at 3-1. That Tennessee, Georgia went into the Texas game with more of a mad on than Alabama went into the Tennessee game. And by that I mean they went in, no pictures, let's play, let's get ready. The offensive coordinator is terrific in Georgia. Alabama goes in. Hold on. Barry, you take it.
Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. My mom.
Hope you're okay, Coach.
Yeah, my mom's at home. Something happened there. What he was saying was the mindset of the two different football teams. Tennessee, Alabama didn't seem to have a tough mindset. Georgia did. Georgia went in and take care of business. They did. Alabama didn't. Did you see that, JC? Did we lose JC? All right, why don't you get JC back there? Is he there? I'll tell you what, let's take a break here. Is he there? Okay. JC, you there?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you hear the question?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. We didn't hear what your answer was.
I mean, yeah, you can kind of, especially Tennessee's defense is really good. I mean, it's crazy to watch them because they're basically, with all the talk about their offense, they're basically handing it to their running back and playing defense, sort of like Phil Fulmer used to do. It's just out of the shotgun, and fast. So they're that kind of football team this year, amazingly. And I don't know that Alabama responded very well to getting in a game like that with them. And I don't know that, since the halftime of the Georgia game, I don't know that Alabama's been playing up to their potential hardly at all. And I think Georgia, on the other hand, did go play up to their potential at Texas. And that's Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart learned from the best. And I knew going into that game, although Texas is immensely talented, Kirby doesn't get the chance to play the disrespect card too often, just like Coach Saban didn't. But by God, when they do, that song "Hell's Bells" by AC/DC, you may as well play that before they come into a game. And they took care of business. But there's something off with Alabama. At the same time, I think a lot's being made of it. Coach Saban's not there anymore. The things that you miss about him are not present. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with Kalen DeBoer. It just means there's nobody quite like Nick Saban. I mean, and even Kirby Smart, I think he does a great job, but you were going to have some drop off. And that just goes to show you, number one, how hard this game is to coach. Number two, what an amazing run Coach Saban had by stressing these intangibles largely, by not letting people slip up, by preaching consistency. And it's just going to, this wasn't going to last forever for Alabama. They're still one of the better teams in the league and in college football. It's a 17-year dynasty by all accounts. You know, they didn't win it every year, but they won it a lot, and they were hard out every single season, and that just doesn't happen anymore in this sport. And it didn't happen before the run started. It probably won't happen moving forward. There's a lot more parity, and to expect Alabama to continue to have the corner market on everything, it's a little bit far-fetched. But you know, the guy that replaces the guy can still be good. I know Ohio State fans are mumbling about Ryan Day after replacing Urban Meyer, but he could still win a national championship this year. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're not good. It just means you're not dominant. And unfortunately, in that game with Tennessee, Tennessee just was better on that day. It was a close game. It was a good game. Both teams, it was a good SEC football game with a lot of defense. But in the end of the day, Tennessee was a better team on the field that day, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I think that, there needs to be some reality. All this talk out there about DeBoer is just, it's amazing to me that people are talking about, this guy's not that good. I mean, I know there is a standard, but that's an unrealistic standard to meet. You have, basically one guy in the history of college football in the modern era that's ever done it, and he was your coach. So that's my take on that.
I think Coach Saban maybe tried to take a little pressure off of the staff here by talking about the 26 players that departed, that transferred out. I guess, I don't know if it was after he left or total of 26. That hurts your depth. They went and got a few guys, but he talked about the receiver at Texas that could have been big here, the defensive back, obviously at Ohio State could have been here. Just how good is this Alabama talent? Is this top 10 talented team, top 20, top 5? Where do you see it, JC?
It's still top 10. I mean, it's still one of the more, but there's a lot of good teams in the SEC. I think certainly Bama's more talented than Vanderbilt, who they lost to. I think they're more talented than South Carolina. Maybe not on defense, but that defense in South Carolina is unbelievable. I'm surprised myself. They're just as talented as a Texas or whoever. But when you do lose a fourth of your roster, that does matter. I mean, even to the sense that, we don't have depth, but we haven't had a ton of injuries. Yeah, but when you can substitute guys and not have a drop off, that's very to your advantage. Also in practice, there's a lot of competition in practice. Everybody wants to get on the field. When you're missing those 26 and maybe half of them are as good, maybe close to as good, it impacts it. It impacts the team. And then there's always an adjustment with a first-year coach unless it's an internal promotion. And this is a completely new staff. I mean, they kept some people, but it's a completely new coordinators on both sides of the ball, all that good stuff. And it's a head coach and a staff that's won a lot of games, so it just may take some time. It may take some 9-3s and 10-2s to get it back to where they want it to be. But it's I don't think it's time to panic right now. If you're Alabama, I think still a lot of football to be played. You're still in the hunt for the playoffs. Got to win out probably, but it's not time to start coming down on Kalen DeBoer. That's madness. If you want to have an example of a fan base that should be a little pissed at their coach, look down the road, because that's a disappointment. Yeah. That's a massive disappointment. And I think it's fine to have standards, Barry, but when you go over the top with it, that's poisonous. And the next thing you know, you're in a situation like Florida where you're changing coaches every 2 or 3 years, or like Tennessee was before they got Heupel. And I don't think Alabama fans, as much as they don't want to go 9-3, I don't think they want to go 5-7.
Yeah,
and go back to the earlier years.
Yeah, it takes a little time to learn a job. I mean, this guy's coming from the West Coast to a new league, a new area of the country. The recruiting's different. The players, the Southern players, a little bit different. How you coach them. So there is an adjustment period there. I think people are just frustrated about the penalties, the lack of a running game. Justice Haynes, I thought, was going to be unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He has 271 yards on 47 carries, and we talk about this offensive line prior to the season being so good, but they haven't really blocked well for them. Just, Alabama has always been able to line up and run the ball down your throat, and that's just not happening this year, JC.
Yeah, that's amazing to me because it's one of those things where in this league you're never going to be perfect on the O-line. You can ask Texas. Texas has a bunch of NFL guys up front too. LSU may find that out at some point. They've got a bunch of NFL guys because the defensive lines are too good. They're too athletic. But, sometimes if you're struggling in pass protection, which Alabama sort of is, they had trouble blocking South Carolina, had trouble blocking Tennessee. Milroe can get out and run and do some things. You at least expect, okay, well, these guys aren't athletic enough to stop these guys on the edge, but they should be getting a push. They're big, strong, tough guys. So at that point, you got to look at the blocking scheme. How are you coaching it? Are they confused? Are they just not playing? Do you need to bench people? That kind of thing. Because you like I said, you're never going to get a maximum type of day in this league on the O-line. You just want to win your share of battles. So that's kind of up to the coaching staff to figure that out. And I agree. I think the backs Alabama has are really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talented as you know what, but it has been a struggle to run the ball, and that's got to be shocking because one thing Saban's teams always, even though they're throwing it all over the field, man, they can still run it all over you.
Yeah, that.
Even with the negativity that we have, if you were to get by a team that you're supposed to beat, but you better be ready to play them in Missouri, and can find a way to go to LSU and win, you still, in the minds of trying to sell your kids, the idea that you still have a shot to get where you need to get, and I think that's a big factor among the leaders, not leaders, but the people that support Alabama and the people that listen to the show. It's still a little bit there. You got to take first things first. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you got to block out the noise, man, and focus on what your job is as an individual player. Don't worry about what Feinbaum's saying, and don't worry about the fans. It's hard these days because everybody's connected, and it's hard to hide players from that. But you got to understand, there's a lot to play for. LSU's getting better and better and better every single week, and Brian Kelly's a winner. Say what you want, about his opening game weirdness and weirdness in general. Yeah. But the guy's a winner, and they went to Arkansas. They're getting better on defense, guys. They got a great coordinator. They're learning the scheme. They lost Harold Perkins, and they're better. That says a lot. But historically, if you look at the history of Alabama LSU, the Tide has done pretty well in Baton Rouge through the years. They're used to winning down there, and they're the one program that's not intimidated going down there, and never have been, even when Bama's been down. Yeah. So I would like where I'm at. This Missouri team's, they're 6-1, but they've been a struggling bunch. A&M blew them out. They should have lost to Auburn. I think the quarterback from Missouri deserves a medal. And this is how bad it is at Auburn right now. So you're up 17-3. You're dominating the game. You should win. The quarterback gets knocked out. He goes to the hospital, right? Yeah. And then he comes back in the game and leads a 95-yard drive to win the football game.
Yeah. What did they do at the hospital? What did they do at the hospital?
I guess they x-rayed him.
Whoever did the x-ray needs the game ball. Whatever they did over there.
I'll credit Brady Cook. That's a tough, to come back to go to the hospital. That's scary for anybody. You go to the hospital, you check out. Well, can I play? Yeah. Well, let's get him back to let's get Cinderella back to the ball. He goes back in and wins the game. Are you kidding me? And so, but look, Missouri's got some issues, and it's a game Alabama should win. They're 13.5-point favorites at home. And so you knock them down a notch, and then you got LSU coming up. Who knows what's going to happen with LSU and A&M? You can still get an SEC championship game. Georgia's got Tennessee. They got Ole Miss coming up. And you have the tiebreaker with them. Tennessee could potentially lose somewhere. It's not a lost cause by any stretch. And with the 12-team playoff, guys, you're not out of it. The third loss, you're pretty much rowing the boat upstream. But 2 losses, that's easy. You can get back in. I mean, hell, you can get to that. You can get to Atlanta and win it, and go 11-2 and get a bye. Still, that's on the table. The SEC. Everybody always talks about the SEC being the NFL, but just like that game I just talked about, Missouri and Auburn. If you guys notice this year, the game flow of the games is much more like the NFL than it has been. I mean, you're talking low scoring, back and forth, teams running out the clock, a crazy comebacks, prevent defenses, 2-minute warning now. It resembles that. And here's why. It's not necessarily that Texas and Oklahoma are like, oh, my God, they're these titans that we have to go play. What happened was when they came in, they threw the schedules together like they always do. And so you don't get a break. These are – you've had tough stretches before in the SEC, but usually the schedules are like, well, we got a couple teams we should beat and then a big one, and then a couple more teams we should beat and then a big one. Now, you look at daggum LSU. Well, you got Ole Miss at home. Well, then you got to turn around and go to Arkansas. Well, then you got to turn right back around at night again and go to A&M. And then you got Alabama. That's insane.
Well, that's why I don't think, if they're smart, I don't think they need to go to 9 games, JC. Can you imagine adding another game like that on your schedule?
They're talking about not only going to 9, but making everybody play a Big Ten team every year.
Yeah.
I mean, now look, I'll take Purdue or somebody like that. That's fine. But you're talking about making Bama go to Oregon and then plus play 9. Nah, it gets too ridiculous. And in the college game, I don't want to say it takes the fun out of it, but it's such a grind every single week. And you got 85 guys on the roster. You don't have 47. There's no cuts. I mean, those backups need to play. It's part of the process. You're kind of limiting your process a little bit as far as development goes, which is something I've stressed a long time. It's a developmental game, and in college is where you develop. So, I don't know. I mean, it makes for some great entertaining football because games could go either way every week. Look at the point spreads this weekend; they're insanely close, most of them. And so that's the thing there.
I think we've killed football to some extent on the East and West coasts. Because we're talking about the middle of this country, with the middle of the country being SEC and the Big Ten. The people on the West Coast, the people on the East Coast, I don't know if they're losing interest. And I know everybody's all excited about the 12-team playoff, but I think they're dealing on dangerous ground. And am I negative or is that wrong? Right.
No, I think you're right. And in the Big Ten, it's a different kind of challenge. I mean, the Southern Cal sitting at 3-4. Part of that's because, I think, is it time to start saying, hey, maybe Lincoln Riley's not a great head coach?
Yeah.
But look, those guys had to, they had to play at Michigan, and then they go home and play Wisconsin. Then they had to go all the way to Minnesota. And then they had to come home and play Penn State, which is a good football team. And then they had to go all the way to Maryland and play during the day. I mean, those kids have to be exhausted. That's more egregious. Again, the Big Ten does not have the best interest of the game at heart, no matter what they say. That's way more egregious than the SEC lining up LSU for that stretch or whatever. But that's a different kind of tough because you have teams that could not hang at all, like Maryland and Minnesota, with most of the SEC beating Southern Cal. And you can't tell me it's not because of fatigue. They blew a 2-touchdown lead at Maryland. They were tired. I mean, it takes a lot out of you to fly. And I know most teams fly and get on airplanes. It takes a lot to fly 6.5 hours across the country in a different time zone. I mean, it's insane. But to your point, I think that, the West Coast presence, I mean, why would anybody care about Minnesota out there or Maryland? And then on the East Coast, the ACC is just so bad. You got some hope at Virginia Tech right now. Penn State's kind of on the East Coast, but they're in the Big Ten. The Florida schools are struggling mightily. So, yeah, I mean, they got to be careful about alienating half of the people that make this sport not only popular but rich. The reason college football makes money is because there's a ton of interest. And if you alienate half of your audience, if I'm making The Godfather Part 4 and I alienate everybody that loves the movie or half of them, it's not going to do well at the box office, is it? No.
JC, I think maybe the coach at Arkansas and Florida, maybe they save their jobs for now. I guess it could change. How long is Oklahoma going to put up with Venables the way that this program's going? I mean, has he got another year there to get this thing turned around?
He just signed a 6-year contract, Barry.
Yeah, but when you get in the SEC and you start getting pummeled and beat around, they're going to Ole Miss this weekend. I just don't see a lot of signs of Oklahoma being competitive. I don't think they're going to put up with that very long. Do you, JC?
Well, here's their problem is offense right now, and they I don't know what happened with Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon, but the word out of Norman was, well, we got Jackson Arnold, so we don't care. Well, be careful what you wish for. They lost 5 offensive linemen, including one of the portal of Missouri that was good. They have the best offensive line coach in the country. So it's not coaching. They just lost all their players, and it's unrealistic to think you're going to put a line together from the portal. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So their offensive line, probably the worst in the league right now. But here's the good news for the Sooners. That defense is SEC level. I mean, it may not be the best defense in the league, probably isn't, but it's SEC level. They can go toe to toe with any of the offenses in this league. They play hard. It's easy to fix offense at a school that's had how many Heisman Trophy winners at quarterback, how many skill players, that's usually got a really good offensive line. Scoring points has never been a problem out there, at least since Bob Stoops took the job in 2000. So you can fix that. I would be much more concerned if I were the Oklahoma administration if OU was scoring some but giving up 50 points a game to sort of ho-hum offensive football teams. The Rose Bowl a few years ago, it's a classic football game against Georgia. That Georgia team had not scored that many points and put up that many yards against anybody, and they scored 54. That means, the translation, no defense. And it's harder to build an SEC defense, in my opinion, than it is to put an offense on the field that could score points at Oklahoma, given their access to talent and their tradition out there. So he'll go make a good coordinator hire. That's a plum job. It's a great place to work. So I'm a little more bullish on Brent Venables, even if the beatings continue this year, than maybe some. Remember, Missouri came in the league and went 5-7 their first year. The next year they won the division because they figured some things out. That just may be the case at Oklahoma. And, with the transfer portal and with those receivers getting healthy next year or whatever, if they find a quarterback, they'll be just fine because that defense is getting somewhere, and they'll be able to stop people.
Yeah.
All right, everybody thinks you're a genius, so I'll give you a genius answer. Give me a genius answer. Will Army or Navy get in the Final 12? Hello?
I'm going to say no, and I hate it. Well, and I'll tell you why. Cause the game Friday night, Boise State, UNLV, in the Mountain West. UNLV's got they've beaten how many Power 4 teams. So if they win, I think they've got the inside track. If Boise wins, they probably have the Heisman Trophy winner at running back, and they're ranked high. What you got to hope for if you're Army Navy is, number one, if you're Navy and you beat Notre Dame, maybe that's a different ball game. I think Army plays Notre Dame too this year, if I'm not mistaken. If you beat the Irish,
yeah, go ahead. How political is the selection committee?
I don't want to say political, but they're like there's two things that are very old school in college football that probably need to be updated. Number one is that committee. It's just an old way of thinking, and I have a lot of respect for most of the folks on that committee. I mean, they're good old football guys, But it's hard when you're in it and you've been in it not to pay attention to brand and kind of revert to what you know. And with it just being opinion of the committee and there's no metrics to follow or anything like that, it's a lot about the eyeball test and what they think.
Yeah.
And if you ask 6 different coaches about one team, you're going to get 6 different variations of answers. I know enough coaches to know. Everything from they're elite to they're not that good to I don't like this guy. And that's just coaching and football people, and that's fine. I love football people. I think they should have a voice, but they should have some other metrics to follow. And then of course I think the SEC ref situation needs to be gutted, professionalized, whatever. But that's a different topic. But yeah, the committee politically, I don't know. I mean, I think the whole country would love to see Army or Navy in the playoff. I mean, that's true, but you can't do it. And I think with their old school way of thinking, quite frankly, I doubt they, barring a couple of wins over Notre Dame or whatever that boost them up, I just can't see them passing the Mountain West schools, provided those teams don't take losses. Like, say UNLV wins and they gets an upset, they're both 2 losses and Army and Navy are undefeated, then that's a different ball game. But I'd love to see it. I mean, I feel weird about, because here's what could happen. Army Navy play for that AAC championship. One of them wins, go to the playoff. Then 10 days later, they got to play in their game, the Army Navy game. And then 5 days later, whoever won the AAC or whatever, or if they don't win, maybe they drop down below Boise. So they probably have to go to the playoff 5 days later. So I don't like that as a traditionalist, but I do think it'd be overwhelmingly positive for 10 days or whatever in December for the college football world to be talking about those teams and those kids, because they're what's right about the sport still. Those guys aren't NIL guys. I mean, they serve our country. It's an exciting brand of football, with the option and all that they do. So, I'll sacrifice my traditionalist. I'll not clutch my pearls on that. Just so we can talk about those teams and those kids on those teams.
All right, JC, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, we talked about that subject on JC and Morgan this week, and during the broadcast, Mike actually kind of changed my mind. I was like, I'm against it because of tradition, and then I started, think about the players. So you can catch that on the Chief Sports app. Download that on the app store or the App Store on Apple or Google Play. For Android, we got all kinds of stuff on there, podcast shows. Great stuff. And we talk a lot of SEC in Alabama. Check out JC and Morgan right there on the Chief Sports app.
Thank you, JC.
Thanks, JC.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. That was Yellowwood who brought you this 7 o'clock hour. If it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM. WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
Night 2 of the NBA had 10 games on the schedule. The Bucks beat the 76ers in Philadelphia, 124-109. Milwaukee's Damian Lillard had 30 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo added 25 points and 14 rebounds in the win. Philadelphia did not have stars Joel Embiid or Paul George, both out due to injuries. Suns beat the Clippers in LA, 116-113 in overtime. Kevin Durant had 25 points. Bradley Beal 24 points in the win for Phoenix. Grizzlies knock off the Jazz in Utah, 126-124. Ja Morant in his return from Memphis had 22 points and 10 assists. Warriors beat the Trailblazers in Portland 139-104. Steph Curry a near triple-double for Golden State, 17 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Hawks over the Nets 120-116. Pelicans beat the Bulls 123-111 without Zion Williamson. He sat out the game with an illness. Cavaliers over the Raptors 136-106. Magic down the Heat 116-97. Pacers beat the Pistons 115-109. Hornets knock off the Rockets 110-105.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looks like we've got double trouble for you on Watermelon and McFarland. Now, first, Watermelon, southbound lanes onto McFarland. You have an accident there. That's going to knock out a lane. Traffic a little slow back to Fieldcrest Drive. But then on McFarland Boulevard on the westbound lane.
TBC 1230 with Wyatt Fulton and Matt Coulter, presented by BMW of Tuscaloosa, Pearl River Resort and Casino, Tuscaloosa Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and Walk-Ons.
road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Also take care of any problems you got with a damp crawl space or a crack in your foundation. They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Go back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Kniffer, he's my Allstate insurance agent. Let Andrew become yours out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Andrew will take great care of you. Looking for home, life, auto, you need renter's insurance, whatever you need there. He's ready, willing to get you a great quote and take great care of you. Give him a call today, 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, every Wednesday, I think they put out a injury report. Missouri's has a bunch of names on there. The two key names that are Brady Cook, quarterback, doubtful. When they say doubtful, it says you have about a 25% chance of playing. Then Nate Noel, they're running back, doubtful. It gives you a 25% chance. Alabama, really only three players on there. Sabb is out. Caden Jones is out, and Red Morgan is probable. What's probable is about a 75% chance you will play. Now, they will update this, but I can't imagine Brady Cook. If you go to the hospital, I guess they got him right back. He didn't have to wait in the waiting room to go back. You know, if you're at the hospital, you're there for like 12 hours before you get out of there. Do you think Brady Cook plays in this game? Their season's on the line as far as the playoff and all that. So I think if there's any way, because that backup was not very good against Auburn. I think this kid's got to play if it at all.
They don't have a chance. It's gone to 16.5. I need to call Garth and find out the inside poop because I can get that from him. But excuse me, I would say that he's probably not going to play.
I'm surprised they put him at doubtful. They didn't leave him.
They did. Yeah, I thought one of them was completely out.
Well, there is an out. If you're out, it says out, you're out. But if it's probable, then they have to update it two more times. Then they'll update it Saturday morning prior to the game. So those lines you saw, it went to 13.5. It was 14 yesterday. Now it jumped to 16.5 just off of the starting quarterback and of course, the leading rusher for Missouri being doubtful as well. So, Alabama's got some injury problems in the secondary, but nothing like, losing your starting quarterback and those things there. So I guess maybe that's serving the purpose of what Garth and those guys wanted was to for the gambling purposes. But you see those lines change when these reports come out, don't you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, those gamblers are scratching their heads. Vegas wants to always get it to where everybody will bet. They don't, they want to be darn sure that everybody, half the country likes one side and the other half likes the other side. That's what they're trying to do.
So when Brady Cook went to the hospital, they didn't make him fill out one of those long forms, put his name and prior injuries and all. I mean, that form takes you about 2 hours to fill out. You think they just took him straight back?
They just asked him who he was. The doctor was there from a foreign country.
Did he have his helmet with him when he went over there? I guess, or he took his shoulder pads off.
Here's my jersey. Here I am. And they said, well, hurry up. I'm going to fix you up and get you back in there to win the game.
That doctor said, good God, I got $5,000 on y'all. You need to be over there in the stadium playing. Shoot that ankle up and get his butt back out there. I got to get my money.
Yeah, nurse, get in here quick.
Yeah. All right, get to the Yellowwood hotline, get Tony in. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
We were just wanting to know how did Cook get in there and get back. It takes you 2 hours to fill out the paperwork, Tony, just to get back to be seen.
He got some of that magic juice. I don't know. I bet it came out of a syringe. Anyway, guys, when we're talking about leadership at Alabama, and I know we've harped on this, and we're a little old school than most, I guess, a lot of your listeners anyway. But when it goes back to saying, "Hey, we've got to be on time for meetings, come to meetings where they're shirt tucked in, and all this," how do you listen to your captain if he's telling you that and riding you when it's Malachi Moore after what he did? You get what I'm saying? Attitude follows leadership. So, sometimes that's what your attitude's based on, is your leadership. And so I don't comprehend that.
Here's the way you do it. You make Malachi Moore one of your 10, and then you get him to apologize for what he said. Let's get this thing straight. That's what you do.
I don't know what Malachi Moore's been in the past, but I don't think that one, if he's been a leader on and off the field, if he works hard in the weight room, if he's practiced hard, if he's done all those things, I don't think that one incident, they've been watching this kid now for several years, and I don't know the answer to that. Now, if he's been like that all the time, then he can't lead, but that was just a one-off that he acted like that, he can.
Well, it obviously, too, guys, if it's gotten this far to where, like y'all said earlier, the player came out publicly and said it, how did it get this bad? Where was the leadership before? Why are they all of a sudden stepping up now and doing something about it? Why didn't they do something about it when it was an issue or before it became an issue?
Well, you've coached, when you lose, then all the little things.
Yeah, it magnifies it.
Mm-hmm. Now, somebody should have gotten to him. That's not something that should be shared in the media. All right. So that's a mistake on the player's part. I mean, you don't have to tell him everything. And that should be something in-house, right? If he hadn't said that, we wouldn't be talking about it. So why would you say that to the media?
Right.
You got to educate those guys. And I know Coach Saban, they did a lot of media training. I think they probably kind of told them not exactly, but pretty much what to say and how to handle these situations. I thought that was probably not handled very well by C.J. Dupree, don't you? I mean, I think
I agree.
Yeah.
Your head coach, I think he was told a lot of things to expect. Hey, down here in the South, it's more of a religion, it's a lifestyle than it is just an activity, stuff like that. But there's nothing that can be said to get you ready for the little things that start adding up once you start losing ball games. There's nothing you can prepare yourself for that. And I'm giving him a pass on that. I think that him coming into a new roster, new coaching environment, new coaching staff, with the exception of a few, I think Coach Sanderson said it best. I think it was Tuesday. You've got to get in on those assistants too, especially the ones that's been here, to let these players know, hey man, this ain't the way we do it down here.
Yeah.
And I think that's gotten a little bit laxed, and it's come back to bite us, guys. When I teach a kid something or I'm coaching them, I teach them the why we do things, and the how becomes much more, easy to accept. There's a reason why coaches want your shirts tucked in underneath your pants, underneath your shoulder pads. There's a reason why those things are taught. And, that's just, once they learn the reason for it, and then they say, oh, okay, I get that now. As opposed to when I was younger, I'd ask something, and they'd say, well, because we said so. And he's like, okay, I'll do it,
Yeah, but when you do all the things that you do, whatever it is, Coach Saban style, Nate Kalen DeBoer style, if you're very tough on them, you have to win. When you win,
Absolutely.
They buy into it. If you do all those things and you're not playing well and you're not winning, then they start saying, man, those things don't mean nothing. I had to jump on a guy in South Carolina. He wasn't going to study all. He was late. I was getting all over. He looked at me and said, Coach, you worried about the wrong things. And I wanted to go smack him at that point. But if you don't win, then they don't buy into what you're selling. If you do, then they
I
buy
agree.
in. So.
Well, I'm hoping that it'll get turned around, but I think we'll beat Missouri. Maybe the week off will help get some of these conditions that we have as far as being injured taken care of on the lighter side of things. I don't expect to get number 3 back or whatever, but and then we should be prepared to go play LSU. And now LSU has a bye week too, so they'll be prepared to play us. I'm worried about us giving up the deep ball. That quarterback's extremely accurate with the football. He's gotten a lot better. I'll say that.
He's tough.
I wasn't. Nussmeier, whatever his name is, over LSU.
Tough kid.
Yeah, he's just accurate with the football. He makes good decisions.
Yeah. So
all right, gentlemen, y'all have a good day.
Great call, Tony. All right, we'll take the break here. Get back. We'll get the Blue Plate special. We'll get it locked in, get it tweeted out. And we've got some Jamarcus Shepard we can play after that. We'll let Dad get out. But the Tuscaloosa Toyota, buy 3 tires, get 1 for $1. That's going to go on here for about another week or so. So go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. You can look at all the new inventory, the pre-owned inventory, schedule a service, rent a Toyota right there at the website. Also, you can order a part. But swing by there, see Justin, see David. They'll take great, great care of you. Or go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. This is Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Brake light Haven right now if you're traveling on University on the westbound lanes to Helen Keller Boulevard. Watch out for that accident as it's got traffic crawling. And we've also got very tight traffic on Highway 43 southbound near Rose Boulevard. This is going to knock out that left lane.
In stock and over 60 pre-owned vehicles. Remember, we'll buy your car even if you don't do business with us. 3200 Skyland Boulevard, East Tuscaloosa. Online at MercedesofTuscaloosa.com.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by The Good Feet Store. The Good Feet Store is a proud supporter of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For over 25 years, The Good Feet Store has been helping people get back to the life they love without their feet getting in the way. Start your journey at goodfeet.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama offensive lineman Wilkin Formby.
Looking at you and your journey to Alabama, a lot of it you could say was almost predestined given your family history. What can you tell us about that family history here with Alabama football?
Yeah, I mean, my granddad, he played here and stuff, and that played a big part just because, like, being a legacy player and being able to play at Alabama and stuff, but also being from Alabama, I got to grow up and see the culture at a young age. But I tell people this all the time. If I grew up in Texas or Florida or wherever, Alabama was the best program at the time when I was getting recruited, and that was what I felt was fit for me. And so I would have gone there regardless. People always say, just because I'm from Tuscaloosa, oh, of course he went to Alabama. Well, like I said, if I was from somewhere else, I still would have come to Alabama.
I'll have more in a moment.
This is Christian Miller for the Good Feet Store. I know from playing football at Alabama and in the NFL that if you have foot, knee, hip, or back pain, it can be a huge challenge. The Good Feet Store is designed to personally fit you with arch supports that alleviate and even eliminate your pain altogether. Try them before you buy them. They're in your free, no obligation, personalized fitting, and you can wear them home the same day. So if you're looking to improve your game, the Good Feet Store has you covered. Stop in for a free, personalized fitting today. Roll to victory at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Roll Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Lots of sunshine today. Another unseasonably warm afternoon. The high 84. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 57. Very warm weather continues tomorrow and Saturday. Lots of sunshine both days. Highs between 83 and 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 64 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. It's time for we're going to do the Blue Plate Special. The Blue Plate Special is always brought to you by Chuck Norwood and Chuck Norwood Team Remax of Gulf Shores. If you're buying or selling, contact the Norwood Team for all your Gulf Coast real estate needs. Serving that area for over 33 years, so experience counts. Go to chucknorwood.com. Or give them a call, 251-948-1212. All right, Dad, you're on a hot streak here. Got people now going to their savings accounts because you got it back going. So they battled back. We're at 4-4, looking to get over 500. Chase is fired up. Look, where are we going this week?
Well, I had a hard time finding something. The best one on the board is BYU. BYU is getting 2 points against Central Florida, which is a come-on bet. Come on, lose.
Give me your money.
Yeah, I don't really. There's no reason not to take that, but I don't like it. It's too realistic to me to think that. I don't understand it, but they know more about gambling than I do. I don't know much about it at all. So when I go down through this thing, trying to find two teams that I'm comfortable with, I can't find one very much. So I have decided that I'm going to take Louisville and give 7.5 Friday night against BC. They're playing at BC. Louisville is a high-scoring machine. The guy there was the coach at Purdue, a very, very brilliant offensive mind. Scores a lot of points against a lot of teams. BC is playing at home, which is a minus for me. But they are playing on Friday night, and Friday night, most of those people up there be watching high school games rather than going to the game. So maybe the home field advantage won't be there quite as much. So based on that, I've decided that I'm going to take Louisville. It would start off at 7. You can get it today. I think it's
7.5.
7.5 now. And that, as far as looking at it, every way I could look at it, that was my best thought.
All right, Louisville currently 4-3, 2-2 in the ACC. Boston College 4-3, 1-2 in the ACC. The over/under in the game is 53.5, so they do think there'll be some points scored there. So, all right, so we're rolling with Louisville minus 7.5. The temperature for the game, I'm looking here, be in the high 40s, which wouldn't be too bad. 48 degrees, and sometimes Boston can get kind of cold there, but shouldn't be too bad there. And that's going to be a Friday night game, so
will be.
You need to go ahead and lock that in if you want to get it. If you win on Friday, Chase, then you can take that money and roll it over to Saturday to BYU, if you believe that, or take Central Florida. That's a trap line for some reason. What about the SEC games this week? Let's look real quick.
Well, they're big. They're pretty big numbers, all of them. 20 points, except the two. The A&M and LSU game is not a big number, 2.5, and the Kentucky and Auburn game is not a big number, 2.5. I keep saying A&M's playing at home; they're going to do well. A&M's home field advantage is not what I think it is all the time. I think they're too busy. They give the same old roar all the time. It's not an up and down roar where you do something, holler real loud when a team really does something. So I've kind of mishandled that, and I haven't done very well with A&M to start the season, and so I got away from that. And Kentucky and Auburn, I have no idea. Kentucky's good and bad. Auburn's bad and bad. So I don't know.
Hugh Freeze needs a win, doesn't he?
Yeah, he needs a win. I don't know. He's made a statement today that either put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Do what you're supposed to do and get gone. Or if you decide to get gone, not going to worry about it. So that kind of thing is put a little emphasis on it. I don't know how much emphasis is put on it, but it's put a little bit on it. And as far as Auburn being maybe a little bit more ready, I don't know if they hadn't been ready. They just hadn't been very good late. They had a good chance to win both of them. Been 11-point lead in the fourth quarter, two of them, and lost. Of course, one of them, Missouri fumbled in the end zone, which was a plus, and Auburn did catch a pass in the end zone, which was a plus for the quarterback. But when you got them 17-3, I think at one whack or whatever it was.
Yeah, that missed field goal killed them.
Yeah,
all right, last game, we'll let you get out. Texas, we'll find out how they come back after
I kind of
loss.
like that. I kind of meant to mention that. I kind of like that game, but I got away from it.
You like who?
I kind of like Texas.
Really?
Yeah, I know that some of our listeners don't. They think that's way off.
Yeah, 18.5 currently. You could get Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia at 18.5. That sounds good. All right, before we go, let's tell them about Bryant Bank, and then we'll let you get out.
Well, Bryant Bank, outstanding bank, 4 locations in Tuscaloosa. Birmingham has a lot of locations, and they're good people. They'll do everything they possibly can to please you.
They know what they're doing. If you're trying to do anything besides, just put your money in there, it's darn safe, and no doubt about it, they'll have two accounts for you, opportunities for you to get two accounts, your business account and your home account. So go by Bryant Bank, tell them you heard on Inside the Locker Room, and hopefully they'll get another customer and be satisfied with us and continue to stay on our show.
All right, we'll take this break. We come back. We'll hear from Coach Shepard. We also open the phone lines. Take your phone calls, 205-342-9904. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Brake light Haven right now if you're traveling on University on the westbound lanes to Helen Keller Boulevard. Watch out for that accident as it's got traffic crawling. And we've also got very tight traffic on Highway 43 southbound near Rose Boulevard. This is going to knock out that left lane.
There's today's repair and the future repairs. No overtime charges on weekends and holidays. No hassle guarantee. Adams Heating and Cooling, 205-872-0045.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Lots of sunshine today. Another unseasonably warm afternoon. The high 84. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 57. Very warm weather continues tomorrow and Saturday. Lots of sunshine both days. Highs between 83 and 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 64 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Phone lines are open, 205-342-9904. Back to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tony back in. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, guys, I'm sorry about this. I forgot to ask when I had you first time, why is Notre Dame backing out of this little tournament in Vegas?
They're not backing out. They're still in it.
I thought they were.
So they put it as two 4-team. They're not even brackets. You're already determined.
I don't understand this whole format, by the way.
It's stupid. So Alabama will take on Houston and then play Rutgers. Notre Dame's on the other side with Texas A&M, Creighton, Oregon, and Notre Dame. There's the way that just Alabama or Houston and Rutgers could both go 2-0, but that wouldn't guarantee them to be in the championship. So they're going to take like a tiebreaker system to determine who the number one seeds are out of each bracket. And they said they had to do that in order to pay the money. So depending on how much you win by, so they didn't already determine who you're going to play on that Saturday, where they already had Alabama playing Notre Dame. Now it's going to be whoever is the two number one seeds out of those two brackets will play each other, and the winner gets an additional $500,000. The runner-up gets another $250,000. Then if you finish in the top four, then you make a little bit more money. So they're giving out $9 million over there. So Notre Dame is still in it, but it's just they could still play Alabama, but they'll have to win their bracket, and Alabama will have to win theirs in order for them to play on Saturday. It's confusing.
Oh, I was under this. Okay, well, so if you win, does the winning team get more money?
If you win it, you get an additional $500,000.
Okay.
So Alabama, if they won it, they can make $1.5 million plus travel expenses.
What about the team that's the runner-up? They just get the extra.
They get $250,000. There's a third place game. They get I can't remember what it is, like $150,000, and the fourth place team gets $100,000, and then the other four teams only get the $1 million.
And does this go out to each player, or how are they divvying that up?
I guess that's up to each school. So champion gets 1.5, second place gets 1.25, third place 1.15, and fourth place 1.1 million. So I guess they can decide. Greg Byrne and those guys can decide how they want to divvy that up. Where they.
Is this the first time they've done something like this?
Yes.
Well, maybe it'll be the last. All right. Be good, bud.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
It's confusing. I got a buddy at Houston, and the coaches at Houston, and he says it's a cluster. All right. Get to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Barry. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. You know, I've been listening to everybody call in about this, that, and the other about the football team. And we all, and all, you know, every point that's been made is true. I'm not saying that. But I still go back. I can't get this out of my mind, and maybe you can correct me for my way of thinking, but I think about what Coach said on Monday. He said, you know, Alabama lost a lot of players to the transfer portal, which that's true. And we also lost the best coach ever, and that had an effect. And you know, we were all giddy about the transition, of how smooth it was and how good it was. But we realistically, I think we're seeing some of the things that happen when you have a transition. And our deficiencies on offense are glaring. And I think some people have pointed out what some of the problems are. And let me tell you this, you're going up against a group of coaches in the SEC that are pretty darn good.
Yes,
and
they are.
These defensive coordinators, if they find something that you can't do, they're going to double up on what you like to do and make you do what you can't do. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
And they're doing it. They're doing it to our offense, and they're making them look completely incompetent. And I think that, you know, that is, I just see more problems in the transition than what, and I was one of the ones. I thought, man, this guy coming here, he took this over. This guy, we ain't gonna miss a beat. Wrong answer. And you see what I'm trying to say, Barry? You follow that point?
Yeah. I mean, I was like that too. I thought, man, this is the perfect storm. You go from Saban to this guy. He seems to be pushing all the right, and everything happened. Everything that's happened was great up until halftime of the Georgia game, and then things started to unravel from there, and people have been picking it apart. You know, even though you lose the 26 players or whatever, you know, people will say, well, you still should be disciplined. When Malachi Moore did that, that was bad for Kalen DeBoer and his staff because people didn't feel like he handled that properly. And then the penalties, although they had the same penalties last year. And then Milroe, we were talking about him being the number one pick. Now he's not playing well. So what are they saying? He's not developing the quarterback, you know, the running game. Alabama's always been able to run the ball, right? Not always, but they've been able to just run the clock when they needed to. You know, as Coach Saban would get a lead, he would just drain the clock by just running and getting first downs and grinding. This team hadn't been able to do that. So there's some things there that the fans that we've gotten used to that they're not seeing. And so that's probably what the frustration is.
Well, and I think you see it across the board. And I don't mean to be starting anything, but look at Auburn's transition. It's been more than just difficult.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to say that you could, that could be us. And it could be. But you know, transitions are I've learned something in this. They're not all easy. And, you know, we talked about when Coach Bryant retired and this one and that and coming in after all these coaches that came and went. And none of them have been easy. None of them. And they'll never – I'm convinced now, Barry, more than ever, transitions are never going to be easy.
Yeah, I think JC said this morning, too, you don't want to be like Florida where you're changing coaches now every 2 or 3 years. Auburn's been changing coaches like you're changing underwear. Tennessee did it forever. It took them forever to finally get to where I think they're comfortable now, you know, and so you got to give this guy time to come in.
That's exactly right.
And see what he can do. If you want to, I hear people talking about, oh, we made a mistake. We got to let him go. I mean, you got to give him a chance to learn the job.
That's a fool talking.
Yeah, he's learning the job. We got an app message here from Salt Lake saying some of these, the biggest obstacles to the success of Alabama football program is the low functioners in the fan base who want coaches fired, players crucified, and program burned down because they are mad and want to be correct and they're hate-filled.
Well, Barry, there's another element to that, and I think I'm going to point it out. Then I got to go. There's a lot of people that troll on social media.
Yeah,
they will say things, and all that firing the coaches. That's not necessarily coming from an Alabama fan. And a lot of people love to see the chaos. It don't matter who it is. It could be Alabama, whoever. They love to see the chaos, and if they can put a tweet or text message or something out there to create it, oh my God, you made their day.
Yeah. The negativity.
Gotta go, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you there. All right, back to the Yellowwood Hotline. We'll get Cowboy in. Good morning, Cowboy.
Hey, Barry, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Coach. All right. Hey, Barry, did I hear you say, maybe I'm mistaken, your son's playing at Shelton this year?
Yes, he's going to pitch at Shelton.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good deal.
Yeah, Bobby Sproul. He didn't get to throw his entire senior year of high school, so we felt like the best situation for him to be to get his arm ready. He's back. He's actually supposed to throw to hitters today. It'll be the second time he's done that. Talked to Coach Sproul. He's very pleased with how he's doing. So and Coach Sproul's one of the best pitching coaches around. So he couldn't be in better hands with the coach. So I appreciate him taking him over there. We'll see where everything leads.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's great. I know Bobby Sproul's got some pitchers in the major leagues. And Roger Clemens started in junior college ball. So, hey, a lot of great pitchers have come out of junior college baseball.
That's right.
Maybe we'll still end up with him at Alabama. You never know.
We'll see. We'll
still got
see.
a shot.
Yes, sir.
Well, good deal. Has Coach got his blue plate ready? I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, he's already put it out. He had my mom was home. He had to take care of her, but he's taking Louisville at Boston College. Louisville minus 7.5. The game's on Friday night. What do you think about it?
Oh, boy, I tell you, going with Louisville's that's a big step this year. They keep losing games you wouldn't think they would lose, like SMU and something. Well, they played Miami tough, but I don't know. I mean, hell, they're hard to find a good blue plate nowadays. But what you think is a lot, not a lot, I'm at Louisville minus 7 at Boston College.
Ooh, yeah, 7.5.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
What? Shoot, I might have liked Ole Miss tomorrow and whatever the points are in that
20,
game.
20.
I think Lane's got to get it in high gear tomorrow, and Oklahoma's a good one to put it in high gear on.
Yeah. The line's 20 in that game. The Alabama line with the quarterback for Missouri being doubtful, it's creeped up now to 16.5. What do you think about that? You there, Cowboy?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I wouldn't touch that game.
Yeah. You just don't know what Alabama team's going to show up. And how good are they really? We may be we'll be talking Monday saying, all right, they got this thing straight now. Everybody be saying, man, this team is it's just not. I don't know that backup quarterback can beat Alabama on the road if that starter doesn't play. I can imagine he wouldn't play, but they listed doubtful, which gives him a 25% chance to play. So we'll see when the next report comes out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
How about Texas? Texas at Vanderbilt, 18.5.
I like Texas.
Dad did too. He likes. This is a trick line here. BYU minus 2.5 at Central Florida.
Yeah, I heard some ESPN guys talking about that might be a upset alert game.
Yeah, I think it might be too. Those lines are tricky there, and I think everybody.
Yeah. So. What do you think in this World Series? I kind of like the Dodgers, but I might be wrong.
I hadn't looked at it. Who has the home field advantage in that series?
I think the Dodgers do.
Do they? First game will be tomorrow night. I'm looking here real quick. to see where that game is going. Yeah, it's in L.A., so L.A. will have the home. I always like the home team in those situations. You got Cole pitching against who was it, Faraday for the so for the Dodgers there. So it should be a fun series for sure. So we'll see. Gets cranked up tomorrow night at 7:00. It'll be on Fox. So we'll look forward to watching that.
How's your basketball team? How's your basketball team shaping up?
I think it's going to be okay. We're not very big, but we can shoot the ball pretty well. So it's a great group of kids I've enjoyed working with. We open up. We play Pinson Valley on the 11th of November. Then the next night go up to Hewitt Trustful. So we got a pretty difficult schedule, but I think we'll be okay.
You play Hoover?
We do not. We play in Hoover's tournament, but we do not. Hoover is loaded. They will win. They'll win 7A again this year, hands down. That big kid they got going.
Where's that big guy they got going?
Tennessee.
Ooh, Rick Barnes coming to Alabama getting some.
Yeah,
good
he's not
players.
He can shoot threes. A bigger body guy. He can step out and shoot it, but he maybe doesn't fit Alabama's system quite as much. He's more of a low post scorer down there. So Tennessee, he came in, did a good job. He's committed to Tennessee. So
I got you. Well, look, I'll let somebody else call. I'm happy for your son. That's awesome.
Thank you, Cowboy. Yeah. All right, we'll take this last break here. We got Digger holding. We'll get to Digger when we get back from break. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Bidding this accident a fond farewell on McFarland, westbound lanes onto Watermelon Road. Now, we do still have residual delays. And also, speaking of delays, very tight on Lurleen Wallace, as it typically is.
Powered teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Today, don't miss being a part of the Sea of Crimson when the Tide hosts conference foes Auburn, LSU, and South Carolina. The new season tips off on November 4th.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Lots of sunshine today. Another unseasonably warm afternoon. The high 84. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 57. Very warm weather continues tomorrow and Saturday. Lots of sunshine both days. Highs between 83 and 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Headbanging music there. All right, get to the Yellowwood hotline, get Digger in. Morning, Digger.
Hey.
Hi.
Kudos to Tom. Go ahead and record this. I'm going to give him an actual compliment on what he said today.
Okay.
He was on point. Good for him, Tom. Way to go. He must have had his coffee this morning. But anyway, real quick, did you see what the president of Vanderbilt did? Knowing that Texas is coming in.
Don't say that has to be. You talk about put the nets up over the state, over the section where the Texas people are going to sit.
What do you think's going to happen now?
Do you think that's real, though, Digger?
Why would you provoke fans of doing that? Why would you do that? You're doing it to stick a finger in his eye.
But I think that's fake. I think somebody just made a.
Well, why would you? What do you mean fake? Why would she do that? The president said she was going to leave it up for the Tennessee game too. Like what? What's the matter with you, woman?
Do you think that's true though? I think it's.
What
fake.
do you mean it's true? It's there. It's there. What do you mean?
Somebody
it's true?
photoshopped that. I think.
No, it's up.
It's top.
Well, y'all threw crap all over the field.
I got a nephew that goes there. He's getting his PhD in biosciences, and I asked him
tell him to
check
slip
it
in
out.
there and take a picture of it. And I want to see his picture of it. I did see what you're talking about. I mean, the Texas fans could sit anywhere. Y'all going to buy up all the tickets. I mean, the Alabama fans had that whole stadium.
That's why it's so stupid on your part. Why would you do that?
I don't think it's true.
Oh,
I think you're falling.
No. I got somebody he's going over there this morning.
Well, yeah, let me know. Call back tomorrow and let me know.
Right.
If it's real.
I had another point, but I forgot. Oh, by the way, you know that round robin, that is something you need to get used to in the Las Vegas tournament thing.
Yeah, but I don't like there's a tiebreaker system. So head-to-head record, total points of both games played in the group with a cap of plus or minus 20, total points scored and total points allowed. That's how they're going to determine.
Because you're going to have there's a real possibility of having the same one-loss record.
Well,
so you got to tie break it somehow.
Well, no, like Rutgers and Houston are in the same group. They don't play each other, so both could be 2-0. So then they have to go the tiebreaker system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it takes a little digging in to look at it, but I think it's a brilliant plan. I think they ought to do that all throughout their conferences.
Yeah, I just don't know where that $9 million is coming from, but it's a lot of money. So.
Oh, man, Las Vegas. There's going to be so much money betting on that.
Yeah, it's true.
They're making their money back. Trust me.
All right. Thank you, Digger.
Later.
Did you see that, Chase? So there's a picture of Vanderbilt Stadium, and where the Vanderbilt fans' ticket allotments are, they put nets up so they can't. If they throw things, it'll hit the net and come back into the stands. I think it's fake. Digger thinks it's real, but they're going to be Texas fans all over the stadium. So the net's not everywhere; it's just in that one section. Digger fell for that. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe it's true. And they said they were going to leave it up for the Tennessee game. So I don't know. Who knows? When you're on the internet now, people can put in. That's the problem. People put anything on there, and people, especially during an election, they put anything on there, and people have, they think everything because it's on. Everything on X is true, right, Chase? If it's on there, it's true, right?
You gotta be real careful because AI is getting real dangerous with how these stadiums, like how you can change a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stadium right now. It does look really real, but
maybe it is real. Maybe I'm wrong. But Digger, let us know tomorrow. You got somebody going to take a picture. All right, that's it for today's show. We'll get out of here and make way for the Gary Harris Show. So keep it locked in. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC is the home of Alabama sports. The Blue Plate Special is out. The game's tomorrow. So if you're going to bet it, you need to get it in. Have a great day, everybody.